Steeped in legend and drowned in blood, the foothills of my home state hold many famous and infamous legends. Once again, I seek the lesser of known horror. It seems a bit more unsettling and surreal in my eyes, and a bit more personal too, if I'm being honest. Hence the next locale, the Creek of Cold Tears. Blood was spilt upon it by madmen, tainting its waters to ruin. Once in days past, it was seen as a healing spring with unusually cold waters. It was also used for baptisms, till one fateful evening, those looking to be healed by its chilled waters discovered 16 bodies, laid frozen in death and body crying tears of prolonged death. The tears were collected, being colder than that of the water. Many believe this to be the last remaining purity of the now tainted creek. 16 lay dead with slashed throats and pummeled innards. From this day forth, the creek would run brown with mud, no longer holding the pure spring water it once possessed. Stench after stench arose from the bowels of the spring. I still smell it, sitting here to this day. Now, spreading disease, the locals claim the creek spreads illness to any who visit it. Many fell ill with horrid throat and gut issues after going in the water. Now, this could be explained by Mother Nature. Perhaps the spring went sour. But it did happen directly after the death of 16 townspeople. I'm not a superstitious man, but this smell does make one ill. It is a mixture of decay and putrid gas, like that of an insect musk. Queasy and nauseated, I began to write my horror story. None should come here. I now see why it is shunned by the public. I began to write my story as the sun sets. A sinister wind blows, whistling and whirring around the high grass, making a natural reed of the lowering fields. A hiss can be heard if the wind blows hard enough. One can imagine it being a whisper of the dead's lost words lingering deep to an empty ear. The killer was never captured. Many believe it to be the priest of the local church, but nearly 100 years have passed and details are scarce. Some even believe there to be more than 16 victims. They believe more are buried beneath the mud of the murky creek. Sitting here reminds me of the secrets of keepers and travelers. And without further ado, I present to you tonight's ghastly tale, The Attic of Agatha Vale. Within the dreary and forgotten hollows of remembrance dwells the home of Agatha Vale. In this home, eerie and dreaded tales are spoken with bloody tongue, and the memories within obfuscated by sinister lies. What dwells within that rickety attic? Alan Maverick knows. He knows all too well. One unfortunate afternoon, he stumbled by way of vagrancy upon Agatha's doorstep. This is his tale of mercy and madness. Crimes of the past nip at his bloody heels as he stumbles dreary and tired from the weight he bears. From the distance he has traveled in the screams of his victims. Over and over he hears them as they beg and cry in pain. He never really wanted to kill. It just emerges as a hunger that must be satiated. Nearly dead and dehydrated, he notices a home in the distance. Maybe it was delirium, but for an instant, he could see a burning evil within the home. Does he approach? Should he keep moving? Death taunts his every move. With little choice, he approaches the haunting home. With 3 knocks, he collapses upon Agatha's doorstep. Almost lost you, lovely. Calm now. I got your fever down. Relax, remarks Agatha as she wipes the sweat from Alan's face. Was it a fever dream? Was it a nightmare? Or did he just see a hellishness in the eyes of Agatha Vale? It's hell, answers Alan as he falls to slumber. No, my dear, not even close, finishes Agatha as she slowly clings up the bedside. Days later, Alan awakens barely able to walk to an open and empty home. The surreal terror of silence embodies the three-story home as Alan slowly makes his way out of bed. An eerie embowelment of sanctity sets the stage for a horrid revelation. Thump, 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 thump. From above, the ominous sound of death lingers through the stained floorboards. "You're not well, son. You should be resting," interrupts Agatha, sending Alan stumbling backwards. "What in God's name? Sorry. You helped me, huh? Well, thanks, lady." "What's all that commotion upstairs?" asks Alan, struggling to regain his balance. "Oh dear. Nothing to worry about. Just some roughhousing. Boys will be boys after all." Shaking his head in approval, Alan motions back towards his room as Agatha helps him back into bed. "Lady, you might want to let me get going. I got some real serious stuff going on. Let me get my stuff and I'll get out of here." With a disapproving motion, Agatha waves off Alan's suggestion. "You're not the first man that's come here with a past, and you won't be the last. This house has had its own shadows to wrestle with." Surprisingly reassured by Agatha's words, Alan begins to open up. "I did some bad things to some good people. Cops and God only knows who else is looking for me. Thanks for the help, but really, I have to go," stumbles Alan whilst attempting to sit up in bed. What if you are in equal company? What if we both have pasts that bind us? Pasts that strangle us? Asks Agatha as she begins a nervous shake. "Maybe our pasts led us to our present," answers Alan as he slowly drifts away into slumber. That night, horrid dreams haunted Alan Maverick. Screams of the past haunted his every moment as ethereal lingerings manifested into terrifying visions of unspeakable evil. A lone melody, a rhyme of sorts, flutters with an elegant maliciousness through the thick strangled air. On the 8th he decayed, on the 9th he betrayed, on the 10th he parlayed. 11 dead displayed. With this, Alan awakens to the stillness of night and the sound of silence. Sitting up in bed, he experiences deja vu as he once again makes his way through an eerily empty home. Echoes from above as the sound of thudding footsteps booms in and out in a distant rhythmic pattern. The thudding soon intensifies. If one didn't know any better, they would assume the sound is that of human bodies bouncing off the floor. A distinct, loud clicking sound can be heard as the sound of something unknown being ripped over and over begins to overtake the footsteps and thudding noises. Agony begins to permeate the air as fear breeds with contempt, giving birth to an abomination of sanity. With the fearsome snarl of a feasting predator, an otherworldly jargon scatters through Alan's ear. Halfathian, despotin goth sic delamascalin, sigortalan quoth favovix. Taken back, Alan stumbles toward the door and with a shaken hand turns the doorknob, only to find Agatha on the other side, standing upright and staring blankly into his quivering eye. "Where can you go? What have you done? We are alike, you and I. Don't fight. It's so much easier when they don't fight." Although every fiber in his being told him to blast through the woman and run deep into the night, and continue until the last remaining strength within his body withered and died. But he found himself unable to leave the home. As his mind raced, his body remained still as freshly dried concrete. "We understand. I know the darkness you possess. I can feel it within you. Don't run away. Stay here with us," remarks Agatha with a wholesome smile. Something about it made Alan do the unthinkable. Without hesitation, he turns about face and re-enters his bedroom. As he began to lay upon his bed, a sudden sleepiness began to overtake him. as the sound of fingernails scraping against wooden panel began to flounder from deep within the walls. Abound with fear and ripe with confusion, Alan, against his will, begins to drift slowly and uncomfortably into slumber. Stained oak floors, unique Gothic furniture, elaborate bookshelves and chandeliers, stained glass windows on the top floor, conservatories and libraries abound. The inside is a stark contrast to what lies outside. Moldy, vine-covered stone blocks made up the foundation and walls with a roof made of large wooden beams and carved stone. The land and lawn remains dry, dead and unkempt. The home of Agatha Vale is a true sight to behold. 3 stories of forbidden history linger on death's rapid pulse. That night, Alan Maverick dreamt of an outer-body experience. His soul would wander the tainted walls of Agatha's home, observing both past and present. Built in the early 18th century, the home was originally owned by an unknown baron who was rumored to perform bizarre practices and routinely murdered peasantry by the legions. He would then take the remains to the attic. As to what happened next, no one knows. Servants have reported flashing lights, bizarre, unexplainable noises, glimpses of what they described as twisted, vile horrors from beyond the realms of reason. Eventually, the Baron's home was raided, and he was hoisted onto the highest peak and hanged at the neck. Next, he would see the second owner, Berquise Ambrosia, a wealthy merchant woman from the secluded island of Purafit, who dwelled only in the attic and ate only the raw meat of newborn calves. Her stay at the residence was short-lived. For unknown reasons, Berquise climbed to the top of the manor and flung herself to the ground below, dying on impact. Next, he would observe the third owner, Agatha Vale. Certainly, she cannot be this old. She would move into the manor with her husband and 3 sons, whom upon entering the attic were never seen again. Awakening in a drenched dry sweat, Alan lunges out of bed, but no matter how hard he wishes, he could not leave this dreadful place. He seemed drawn by morbid curiosity or dreadful desperation to that dreaded and mysterious attic. The first floor of the home was both luxurious and haunted with a silent stillness that resembled that of ghastly death. The second floor was completely empty, devoid of any furniture, save that of a single furnace blazing with the embers of hell. Thudding from above, begins as the empty floor beneath it acts as an amplifier, causing the thuds to echo like thunder. "You should stop now," says Agatha, appearing from the corner of the room. Surprisingly, Alan isn't disturbed by her presence, but strangely, at peace. "I don't know what you did to me, but I can't leave, and I don't want to. You know all the bad things I've done. You don't judge me. You don't get scared. It's almost like you understand." Staring blankly above, Alan takes a deep breath and relaxes his body. "You're drawn to it, just like I was. You shouldn't go up there." "I haven't. My boys did. They're gone. So far gone." A wave of pity rests upon Alan's shoulders as he continues to stare blankly above. "So am I. I don't want to stop. I'm ready to go," finishes Alan, as Agatha looks on in tears. "Another one of my boys. Gone." She weeps, whilst Alan walks up the stairs. If he had known what he would see, what he would experience, what he would endure, he would have lived the rest of his days as a wanted man. The pain and suffering of 1,000 hells could not equate to what he would experience. A millennium of lifetimes pass as he withers and decays, whilst being trapped in the cold, unrelenting grip of time. Unimaginable beings berate and sculpt his body, flesh into a monstrous work of art. Blood and viscera become his new vessel. Though his body lies ripped and molded, and his entrails repeatedly, thud against the sanguine floor, his mind remains to be forever tortured in the attic of Agatha Fell.